Hi, thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about a question came across to us. Is an organic 0, 0, 0 analysis fertilizer even possible? And what I'd like to do is have that discussion, but then also kind of try to ask the question, is that even a fertilizer? Or is that kind of like maybe not even a compost, because most composts have some sort of fertility analysis, NPK analysis. So maybe is it a biological food substrate of some sort? Is so we'll get into that. But let's talk about that 0, 0, 0 analysis. Um, if you have an organic granular, like certified organic fertilizer, um, the idea is that it typically has to have some sort of an analysis on it, especially to label it as a fertilizer, because our regulatory agencies in our states and so on and so forth say, you know, if it has an analysis, or if you're putting an analysis on the label, like a 111 or a 303 or a 524, which are some of ours, um, uh, then it's a fertilizer by definition. And then if it doesn't have any analysis on the label, well, then it's a soil amendment, potentially. Depends on what your claims are. So um, we'll start with a quick conversation. We have a 303 Carbo Grow. Well, there you have it, right? It's on the label, 303. So 3% nitrogen, in theory, 0% phosphorus, and 3% potassium. Now, that product's got like 25 different ingredients in it, give or take one ingredient, depending on the time of year, uh, because it depends on the commodity ingredients and when they're available and how you make that granule. But long story short, a 303 product probably isn't truly exactly zero, because a 0% FOS is almost impossible to get, because all natural ingredients have some level of nutrition in them. So you probably have traces of phos in that product, phos meaning phosphorus or phosphate, in that product. So the 303 is probably more like a 0.1, 3, but because it doesn't come up to a true 1%, your state Department of Agriculture's and Departments of Agriculture, and the Fed and what have you, the regulatory agencies, they're like, you can't claim a one, because you can't tell consumers that it's a 1% FOS, because it doesn't even make a 1% FOS. So therefore, we have a 303. Okay. So can you have a 0, 0, 0? All right. Well, let's go for that. So we have a product called Finesse GBH. Phenomenal product for plant growth. I mean, you can use it just like a granular fertilizer, and you will get a growth response. I mean, there's no question about it. It will make healthy plants, and healthy plants like to grow just like healthy kids. But technically speaking, we can't put a fertilizer analysis on that product. We can't say it's a 111 or a 121 or 212 or any of that, because none of the levels come up to a 1% reading. So what we have is we have like a zero point 0.4 or a 0.3, 0.4, whatever it is. I can't remember offhand, but it's basically, if we were to put it on a label, it'd be a 0, 0, 0. But then why would we put it on a label? Because now we have to make it a fertilizer label, and now we're going to have to pay fees to the regulatory agencies in order to claim it's some sort of something or another, because we put numbers on the label. So long story short, it's almost a 0, 0, 0. But why not perfectly a 0, 0, 0? That is because it is comprised of, or made of, ingredients that are all naturally occurring in the environment, and all naturally occurring things have nutritional values that come along for the ride. It's just the way things are. So, I do a sidebar, but I won't go there right now. So, long story short, when you get into these types of products, like our product, which is technically a 000 type product, not on the label, but that's what it is. Our product is called Finesse GVH, and Finesse, like we're going to finesse some kind of a result for you with your crop, whether it's turf or it's trees or it's shrubs or it's vegetables. We're going to finesse a result. Finesse GVH, granular vermihumus. So basically, what we're doing is we're taking some really interesting compounds and we're putting them together, and we're literally recreating the forest floor. My background, one of my things that I've done is as a certified international arborist. Okay, big deal. Well, trees are part of my love, part of my passion. So I went to the forest floor and I said, how can we recreate this forest floor? Because, if you think about it, how does that forest floor grow? How does the forest grow without any fertilizer? Huh, good question. So that's what got my mind going. So you go and you research and you study that forest floor, and then from that forest floor, you recreate or you emulate the substances that are in the forest floor and the outcome of those substances. And if you do that well, you're going to end up with a product like Finesse GVH. And that's what we've done. And so the product, even though it's quote unquote a 000, if you will, analysis, we don't even put that on the label because we don't have to. It's a soil amendment, and it is a beautiful soil amendment. So, what is a 000 analysis even possible? Not really if you're speaking of a certified organic product using completely natural ingredients that all carry their own levels of nutritional values by default as a natural ingredient in nature. So it's very difficult to get a pure 000. Something like that is probably out of the lab. Okay. So outside of that, I hope that answers that question for the individual who asked it. I really appreciate the questions because it gets my mind going. Then I got to give you something to chew on. And so hopefully we've done that today. And I thank you for joining us. Take care. My name's Erik Morgan, and this is Organic Approach. Have a good day.